I heard a yeehaw out there. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Can I get a yeehaw? Yeehaw. We're a very amenable group this morning. So Les asked, did you bring your magic wand? I did. It's not very hard to get me to be magical. This is not a surprise if you know me at all well. So today's talk is called Wave Your Magic Wand. So I appreciate Les bending the rules of that song a little bit to play with our title. I don't know about you guys, but I was a magical kid. Anybody here a magical kid? I remember so clearly laying on my bed and being absolutely sure that if I could just remember how, I could close the door from where I was sitting. There was a part of me that knew how, and I just couldn't quite reconnect with that piece to close the door. I imagine I might have looked like this. Eyes focused on that magic wand. See, Reverend Karen isn't the only one that can get the gratuitous cute baby aw. We can't have a talk without Annalise on the screen. I don't remember myself at this age, but I do remember this. Any of you guys that kid? I used to get grounded out of my room. I think my parents were afraid I was going to become one of those weird kids that couldn't get along with anybody because all I wanted to do was read and escape into that world where I understood the rules. We know the rules in a magical world, right? It's embedded into us by books and movies and stories and fairy tales. We know how this happens. There's a formula. There's a problem. The hero or heroine decides what they'd rather have instead. There's an adventure that leads them on the path to finding that solution that allows them to focus their intention, whether through a wand or a spell, and they mean it deeply to the bottom of their tippy toes, and the solution comes. And they're elevated to the next level of expression, yeah? How many movies? How many books? How many stories? You know, Reverend Karen set us up really well at the end of her talk last week. She shared a thought from Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, that said, paraphrased, if you dedicate yourself completely to a practice, any practice, for a year, you will not even recognize the person that you are at the end of that year. We have a bit of a tendency in science of mind to say, oh, we're very different from New Age. Oh, we're very different from New Age. You guys have had this happen in foundations class or in books. We're New Thought. We're very different. We don't believe in magic here. There's no magic here. And I'm going to be a little bit controversial. I don't agree. I don't agree that there's no magic here. I think that belief, that expression, belies a deep misunderstanding of what magic is. Because if magic is recognizing a problem, choosing what you'd rather have instead, focusing your intention, meaning it, and making real change, then science of mind is all magic. It's all magic. And conveniently, even though we may think we don't know how to do spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, which I would argue is the practice Karen was calling us to when she said, dedicate yourself for a year and your whole life will change. We may think that it's a hard practice. We may think that it's complicated and there are rules. But we are programmed by our culture to understand how this works. It's in our cells. If I hand a 3-year-old a magic wand, they know what to do with it. If I start a fairy tale you've never heard, you could finish it for me because there's a formula. And we get to wave our wand every time we decide how we're going to think. Every time we decide to let go of an old pattern and choose something new. So for today's talk, we're going to kind of run through these 3 premises. Figure out what you don't want and what you want instead. Focus your intention and mean it. and see if we can take what we know from the movies and from the books that we love and apply it to making sure that we are doing exactly what we need to do to have the life we want right now. Yeah? Yeah, awesome. Ernest Holmes has a quote that I just love, and I have to breathe into it. There's no magic in mere words, and parrot repetition will avail nothing. It's our attitude of mind that can control our bodies and affairs. There's no magic in the mere words. We don't get away with that. We have to focus. We have to mean it. So let's talk about the first step. Figure out what you want, what you don't want, and what you want instead. Cinderella did not want to wear the raggedy dress. She didn't want to stay home and clean that chimney. She wanted to go to the ball. Now, Cinderella could have chosen to do this. I don't like my dress. I don't like it. Anybody ever done that in their life? Oh, hands higher, y'all. I have the victim mentality. Nobody ever gets me a nice dress. But if the fairy godmother shows up and says, well, what do you want instead? And you're like, I don't know, this just sucks. You're probably not going to get to the ball. Harry Potter did not want Voldemort to win. It's what he didn't want. He wanted to protect Hogwarts and the wizarding way of life. He wanted families to be safe. He didn't want any other kids to grow up without parents the way he did. Lots of people would have just said, you know what, this isn't my problem. I'm 9. He's 9 when the stories start. I'm 9. This isn't my deal. I don't even know who these people are. They could have said, this isn't my issue. But if he had chosen that path, I think we know that by the end of book 4, Hogwarts would have been no more. It doesn't work like that. You have to start by looking at your life and seeing what it is that you don't like. Not just, this sucks. It is just me, right? I thought so. Well, bear with me as I tell the story of my own whininess. If you just stay in the, I don't like it, and you don't hone in on what exactly you don't like, you're going to stay there. And I know we're religious scientists. We don't like to look at what we don't like, right? Turn away from the condition. Turn away from the condition. But we got to look at it first. Because sometimes what we don't like is not what we think we don't like. Sometimes we look at, I don't feel right in this situation, and we think it's that person or that job or that physical condition that we don't like. And when we hone in on it, we find that truly, I don't like my attitude in this situation. Or I don't like how I'm showing up as a person in this situation. And it doesn't require the changing or shifting of anybody else at all. It's all me. But if I don't look carefully enough to notice what I actually don't like, I'm going to stay stuck. Now, if I get too attached to looking at what I don't like, that's another way to get stuck, right? Because once we know, we have to move forward into, and what do I want instead? What do I want instead? Cinderella didn't stay stuck in, I don't get to go to the ball. And she didn't stay stuck in, I don't like my dress. She was able to move forward to, I want to go to the ball. I want to find a way to make this happen. And so off to the ball she went. If we're unhappy at work, we need to figure out, is it that we don't like the job we're doing? Is it that we don't like the career we're in? Is it that we don't care for our boss? Is it that we would rather have flexible hours? We need to find what isn't working and what we want instead. This seems like a really obvious thing, but I'm telling you, I have this conversation 4 times a day, every day. And you too can come into the office and visit with us, and we can have the same conversation. We love when you come in. It's fun. Once you know what you want, there's that final little click into, so what qualities get me there? What qualities get me there? I want to go to the ball. Joy. I want to protect my home. Love. I just want to feel okay. Peace. It's an easy step if you've done the steps along the way. The second step is to focus our intention. Now, this is where we get a little confused about the New Agey stuff, because if you know this much about magic, this much, tiny bit, you might think that people who believe in magic believe that the power is in the crystal or in the wand or in the incantation, the abracadabra, if you will. But any Wiccan worth her salt will tell you that the best witch doesn't need any tool at all, because all of those things are doing one task, focusing our intention. Focusing our intention. We know what we want now, so we're using something to focus our intention. It could be a wand, it could be a spell, but it's about focusing. And what, esteemed religious scientists, what do we use in science of mind to focus our intention? What? Spiritual mind treatment? Our form of what? Affirmative prayer. Very good. It's like there's a foundations class going on right now or something. It's exactly the same thing, isn't it? We've decided what we want, and we have a process that we apply to what we've said we want and how to get it through a process that focuses our intention and our will and our desire and the rules of the universe and pulls it all together and shoots it out into our experience. Just like a wand. Just like Harry uses that wand in Harry Potter, right? He knows what he wants, he says his spell, and he focuses it and casts it out. I would argue we do exactly the same thing with spiritual mind treatment. And how fun, isn't it, to realize, oh, wait, we've been programmed by the books and movies and stories of our entire life to understand how to do this. It's not secret. It's not tricksy. It's easy, and we know how. It's important to do things to focus our intention because there's something about doing something that tells the universe we're serious. Sitting down and writing a spiritual mind treatment and saying it is doing something concrete that tells the universe that you are serious about making this change. Walking over to the prayer zone after service and sitting down with a practitioner and getting prayer shows the divine that you mean it. You want this. Your intention is focused. You're going to make this change. You're going to demonstrate this new thing in your life. So the third step, we've already started sliding into. The third step is you gotta mean it. Mere words contain no magic, remember? Parroting isn't going to get you there. You have to mean it. In Harry Potter, in a pivotal scene, he needs to protect himself from the very evil and scary and beautifully portrayed Bellatrix Lestrange. And he tries to perform the Avada Kedavra curse on her, which is the killing curse, to protect himself, and it doesn't work. And she laughs a very mean laugh, and she tells him, "Oh, little boy, you have to mean it. You have to want to kill for that curse to work. you have to mean it. It's not the words, it's not the pattern, it's not the 5 steps. We do really like our 5 steps, but it's not the 5 steps that do it. It's the meaning it. Ernest Holmes talks in a number of places about what he calls fire in the belly. That it's not the words at all. It's that energy. You know what I'm talking about when I say fire in the belly? It's such a visceral thing, that place where, I mean it. That's the energy that carries that spell forward, or that prayer forward, or that wish forward. You got to mean it. Remember in Pinocchio, the blue fairy came and sang that beautiful song that everybody loves? When you wish upon a star. No matter how your heart is grieving, if you keep on believing, the dreams that you wish will come true. If you keep on believing, you have to mean it and put that serious energy into it. In Peter Pan, our sweet little Tinkerbell, what happens if people don't believe in fairies? They die. And then we all have to clap if you believe in fairies to bring them back to life. Clap if you believe in fairies. It's programmed into us to know that we need to figure out what we don't want. Figure out what we want instead. Focus our intention in so closely, so tightly, that there's no question what qualities we're searching for, what change we want, and then we mean it. And the meaning it is what shoots that energy out into the universe and presses it into the law, which, as we know, means it always comes back to us in manifest form, exactly the way we pressed it in, believing. So this is the call to action. Let's step away from this silly idea that science of mind isn't magical. It's the most magical thing I've ever found in my life. It follows the rules of the universe, the energetic secrets of all the ages. Pass through every faith, every mystic tradition to land with us, right here, right now. We know how to do it. If you found a magic wand in your closet today, would you use it? Would you use it? You have it. You have it right here, right now. It's called affirmative prayer. So my invitation to you today is to deepen into that feeling you had last week when Reverend Karen invited everyone to turn in a written prayer request. Do it again. Our practitioners love to pray with you. Turn in another one. There's a box right out in the lobby. And for those of you who are really serious, for those of you with fire in the belly, come join us over in the prayer zone immediately following service and get a live spiritual mind treatment. If you don't know yet how magical they are, give yourself a gift and come pray with us. We want you to have what we have, which is a life that has been transformed by the power of prayer. You've made it 99% of the way by making it into this room. Take the extra 10 steps to the prayer zone. Yeah? Awesome. And so it is. So I'd like to take us into prayer. I invite every minister, practitioner, and practitioner training in the room to stand up and join me as we take a stand for the magical power that is in this room right here, right now. And I just breathe into the magic that is God itself, sweet spirit, the all good, knowing, believing, trusting, and affirming that each one of our lives is unfolding perfectly and beautifully right here, right now. That whatever concern we brought into this sanctuary this morning is being filtered through this magical process, choosing what we want instead, focusing our intention, believing, meaning it, knowing it can happen. For that which we impress into the law always comes back to us in manifest form. It's simply the way the universe works. And it is so good. So I know for each one of us abundance and balance, joy and peace, absolute wholeness in our mind, body, and spirit. I know for this center, overflowing harmony and good in every possible way. We are blessed. We are blessed. We are blessed. I call it good and very, very good. And so it is.